at Saatchi Saatchi, we think about sustainability very holistically. So we think about it not just in terms of the environment, but also social issues, environmental and cultural issues. And really the interplay between the four of those, and really how do we take those and figure out what make the most sense for our brands, and then take that and think about how we're going to create emotional connections for people to one or all of those areas, so we can have a much bigger and deeper conversation rather than just catering to people who are maybe interested in green. How can we actually have a big conversation about something that connects to higher purpose, and really about what the company stands for, what it's about, rather than something that's maybe smaller, tactical, that's focused on, well, what are we doing to reduce energy, water, or waste. Those things are very important, but not necessarily things that a lot of consumers care about when they really think about a company. They want to know what's in it for me, what's the emotional connection, and really what's the bigger story here that I should be interested in. Well, I really liked from the morning session, Mr. Krishna was talking about how when they first launched here in India, they really had to sort of think a little bit differently about their company, and about how they actually had to think more about purpose and think a little bit bigger, rather than just about how they were going to deliver something that was about something at a cost or a price, but really how do they create a bigger story. And so that very much resonated with me in terms of the things that we talk about at Saatchi. And in some of the other sessions, it's been interesting to see how that's sort of been coming up again and again, about how there's a much bigger conversation to be had. And it's not just about the sort of traditional functional pieces of marketing that sort of align with the 4 Ps of, price and placement and those aspects, but it's really about sort of purpose and passion, and how we can really build a bigger story for brands, and how that creates a bigger opportunity for them. Well, I really think it's interesting to see what brands are doing to really push the envelope on this, and kind of go beyond sort of communicating basic, I guess, functional pieces of brands, but really sort of what's the big story, or what do they stand for. And so for an example would be a company called Patagonia, which is an outdoor apparel company in the States. And they've really had to rethink their whole business as they've started thinking about sustainability. They've always been a business that stands behind their products, but they've really been thinking more and more about the end of life of their products, and how they can really sort of create a bigger conversation with their customers around them. So for example, they are now actually selling used Patagonia items in their stores, because it actually creates a bigger market for them. It creates a more interesting conversation, but also they've recognized that people don't necessarily always need something new. They might just need something to fulfill a specific need, and maybe are even interested in something for more the sort of retro look or feel of it. So they've really been pushing the envelope on that, and then also beyond that, for them, it's not even just about getting people to buy. They're actually also doing some really interesting things about talking to people about not buying and what it means to be a conscious consumer. So for example, last year around the holiday season in the States, they actually ran an ad that said, "Don't buy this jacket." And the whole premise of that ad was, think before you shop. It's not just necessarily about accumulating more things, it's about accumulating things that are going to last and are the right things. Ironically, for them, their sales actually went up after that campaign, so it kind of shows you sometimes the disconnects that happen, but at the same time, I think they put a really interesting message out into the world, and there was a lot of really interesting conversations that came out of that.